I love people that are hungry to make money online, but like when it comes to content, that like you're just, the singular goal is making money. Like for a lot of these people, there are people. Faceless is a bit broad. Like there's a lot of people that make fantastic content that don't show their face, like whether it's narrative driven, story driven, they're telling stories, whatever. Yeah. The editing's great, obviously, like Sunny V2 type of stuff. Like, you don't really see his face. It just shit looks really good. But there's other people under that umbrella who are just trying to spam the highest volume delegated content using AI, using, you know, Filipino VAs. And it's just like, and the only goal is to try and find a way to wiggle their way into the algorithm to occasionally get a hit with high volume kind of nonsense that has no personality, and they're just kind of trend jacking and all this stuff simply to make money, which from a content perspective, like stinks, like it's not whatever. But again, like if you're somebody like who's smart and spends time learning these things, like wouldn't you rather do that than, you know, work at Target?
Oh, bingo.
You know? So I always, like, as much as I hate it, I kind of understand why people do it.
Yeah.
But it is just making, I think it is saturating the landscape even more. So it makes it more difficult for people making really great content, I think, to find the surface. I think that's just the nature of the job.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to be one of those, it's hard to call it a trend because obviously not everybody's hopping on it, but I really do think it's going to be one of those things that it's almost like a game update. I feel like it's just going to get patched. I feel like the algorithm is going to absorb a lot of that stuff. Well, have you heard about what Instagram's going to be doing with their?
I think they probably already are. I haven't. Go ahead, because I had something I wanted to tack onto that. But what's IG doing?
So the CEO apparently recently announced that Instagram is going to, I don't know if it's through AI or whatever their system is. I'm sure it's all funded by Zuck, so I'm sure they got some pretty good technology there.
Some sort of AI.
Yeah. So it's basically going to scrub all media, and it's going to start. If you take a video of mine for virality, which is a very common thing, a lot of these faceless channels are doing, and repost it to their page to garner millions of views too, the new update is supposed to give all the credit to the original poster and not the new page. Yeah, it's supposed to. So you share a clip of mine that on my channel has 1 million views, you get 10 million. Those 10 million go to me now. It's almost like what they're doing on Twitter with like the whole. Now you can repost. Well, it's been like that for a while, where you can repost a video on your phone.
The video, but it'll have their name under it, and it will aggregate the views to them as well. Yeah. That's weird, because there's so many levels to it. Because like I said, like Faceless is very broad, because like there's people that make really great, well-researched scripted content. But then there is these channels that are like, they're just taking little bits and pieces of other content. Like a lot of these mindset motivation shit, huge on Instagram.
Oh my God.
Where they're just taking podcast clips, they're taking beautiful landscape clips, they're just pulling all these clips and then doing voice to text over some, like, you know, 5 ways to become, you know, the next David Goggins. And most of it's just stolen content repurposed in like a new package. So it's tough. It's like cheap. Where that line is, like, it is. It's cheap, it's easy. And then, you know, I think that the difficult part with that type of thing, especially when you try to police it, is who's judge and jury on what's transformative and what's not. I mean, for Christ's sake, in my genre of content commentary that I've been doing for, you know, 6, 7, 8 years now, that's always been the thing. Is like, you know, for a lot of the things I do, I'm using other content to create my own through comedic criticism,
right?
In a way that's hopefully transformative, which it generally is. I try to make sure that it is.
Yeah, it's pretty well articulated.
Like, that's the gray area, I guess, where, and it helps for me where it's like, I'm showing my face. I'm like the personality on the channel. Like, it's pretty obvious when people come to see, they're there to see me. And it's like, I'm talking about something, as opposed to people that are just uploading, like re-uploading a video with like a little minor tweak that barely changes the packaging of the video.
You're so good at your job that typically people actually get educated on situations and scenarios because of you. I don't go to your channel to find police cam footage that I've heard of already. I click your channel and watch your uploads because you're about to present to me something new and fresh. So where, like, what a lot of people that you're talking
From
about,
a different perspective,
bingo.
right?
And a lot of the people that you're talking about, those in-depth faceless channels that are just constantly regurgitating stuff, they're already taking the likeness of what a lot of us already know, and they're just combining it and their own music and their own flow for their own narrative for 10 to 20 minutes just to get revenue. Half the stuff is things that we already know, but it's like this, oh, okay. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear David Goggins speak over, like you said, like the waterfall this time. I only heard this on Joe Rogan 15 other times before, you know?
Yeah. But now it's over a beautiful landscape, so it hits different.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. It's emotional. You got a guy crying in the background. It's poetic now.
And then you got that, there's like one of 3 kind of like inspirational instrumental songs that you just hear in your sleep because every time you fucking log on to social media, they're in the background of these videos.
Every single time. I mean, it's good. It's good to point out, like, you look how many large faceless creators that we know that have been around for 10 years in gaming. Like, they've used games to articulate. Like, everybody goes there for them and not necessarily the game. But like you said, that's a whole different arena of articulated videos. They're telling a story, usually with them and their friends, a scenario situation. They're not necessarily just like, there's faceless gaming channels now, but it's all around like regurgitating all the information that other info channels, you know, put out.
Right. It's not a personality driven gaming channel. So yeah, like a lot of the faceless gamers that like BK that are huge. And I feel like the game was just a vehicle for them to showcase their personality. And that's what people were there for. And that's how they grew these massive audiences, which is I guess the separator. So yeah, it'll always be around. I mean, the content game's funny because it's always a lot of the same with a lot of new techniques to try and capture market share. And algorithms are changing every day, and more people, it's becoming more competitive every day. It's very interesting. I mean, there's no job I'd rather have, but certainly the most stressful job I've ever had at the same time. But like, but
exactly,
it's the fucking
that's been the journey for me. You know, talking to you at the Texas event. You know,